I would make driving under the influence life in prison.
And
if anyone ever says I'm misogynistic, I can be like, literally all my heroes are women.
And look up some videos of Carrie Nation right now.
Oh my gosh! Why this woman destroyed bars using a hatchet? What'd you
All
say?
the old ladies of the 1910s, like, you know, like the Christian Science lady and Helena Blavatsky and all the old ladies of the 1910s had the biggest cojones.
Welcome back to Midnight Mormons, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I am joined in the studio by Brad Whitbeck and Kwaku L. And we were just having a conversation. I can't believe you guys said this. And I'm a little bit worried when we start podcasts based off whimsical claims that you guys make that are absurd and out there. But Kwaku made the claim, and Brad simultaneously made the claim, that prohibition, old school prohibition, as in like the 18th Amendment when they found the booze and they destroyed it so you couldn't drink it and all that other stuff, the old school prohibition was the right call. That is the claim. I think that's insane and crazy, but I see you totally doing the eyebrow thing, and Kwaku seems to agree with this. What, you pulling some up, Kwaku?
You bet. Oh, you bet.
Okay, so fine. Brad, you go first. This is crazy. I can't believe you're saying this.
Dude, as Kwaku's pulling this up, look.
Okay.
I mean, look at how our government has been treating the world and the way that it's claiming to care about our public health.
Okay.
Can you think of anything more poisonous that is consumed on a daily basis than freaking alcohol?
Okay.
I agree.
It is poison. Like, people are out here drinking poison.
Okay. No, I get that. And the argument is not whether or not alcohol is bad. It's whether or not the prohibition thereof, as is done in Utah and other places.
Okay, but here is the deal. You need to learn about the woman that Kwaku's about to bring up. She's an American hero.
What? Okay. Whoa, jeez.
Do you not know Carrie Nation
This
by
is Carrie
sight?
Nation.
Okay.
Carrie Nation's the freaking bomb, man. Look up some videos of Carrie Nation right now.
Carrie Nation went to bars holding a battle axe. It would just destroy the alcohol.
She would just
bash it to bits.
Wait, she would literally just go in like...
Yeah, there's video of it too. Look it up.
Yeah, she was BA.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Carrie Nation was a boss.
So hold on a second. The name of this woman is... I get so nervous when I look
Carrie, Carrie Nation. Cool name too.
Mm-hmm.
RRIE.
She tried
Nation.
She tried to carry the nation.
Breaking barrels, I guess. I'm going to look up. Oh my gosh. Why this woman destroyed bars using a hatchet? This is crazy.
Yeah, dude. She's a boss.
Oh my goodness.
Of the Prohibition era.
What'd you say?
The old ladies of the 1910s, like, you know, like the Christian Science lady and Helena Blavatsky and all the old ladies of the 1910s had the biggest cojones. It's crazy.
Okay, so
now they just watch Martha Stewart.
Okay, now okay, so now I get it's Carrie, it's Carry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this lady right here would straight up, oh my gosh, look at this, man.
It's awesome.
She would
She's great.
joke walk around with a hatchet.
Yes. And it was the bomb.
Oh, dude.
She was wonderful.
Now,
Okay, so what should we do and why is that the right move?
Look, I don't normally celebrate the destruction of property.
Okay. Glad to hear.
But Carrie Nation had style. And
dude, stop and pause on
I would
picture.
that all women would be like unto Carrie Nation.
Dude, look at that chick. She's literally holding a Bible
and an axe.
And a hatchet.
Mm-hmm. And look, if there
ever were a woman justifying property damage and violence in the name of
it's the fact that she did it openly. She wasn't hiding it. She would take photos with the hatchet she was using to destroy your beer. That's cool. That's baller.
Now, I have a question for you, Cardin.
I can't believe I'm looking at this.
And don't go off on a tangent about how culture doesn't exist. I want you to think, what would stop culture faster than anything?
Are you suggesting a hatchet?
No. Would it exist if there wasn't alcohol?
Oh, no, look.
If people weren't getting drunk all the time?
Yeah, but look, okay, so here's the big problem.
Alcohol plus hookup
as
culture.
much as Carrie
you're right.
Nation, as much as Carrie Nation looks BA, and as much as all of us know that most domestic violence is intrinsically related to alcoholism, most of your heavy motorized sports accidents are heavily linked to alcohol. Ask any ER doctor
You're
or
saying
first responder out
driving
there.
on the freeway is a motorized sport car?
Well, no, I'm saying like guys that
Motor
break,
vehicle,
break
yeah.
their necks, motocrossing or break their necks, power boating or anything like that. Oftentimes it's because of drunkenness, that there's some kind of accident. Okay. And you hear heartbreaking stories of DUI, so on and so forth. I totally get that. I'm not here to say alcohol is good. I believe alcohol is bad. But the question is, what is worse? Prohibition, the only legacy of prohibition in the 10 years from, I can't remember what year to what year was. I think it was instituted in 1918, right? No, it was the 18th Amendment, sorry. But the only legacy of prohibition that we have coming out of the 20s was organized crime. By prohibiting alcohol, its value skyrocketed and created a vacuum in a market that only the criminal element of America would fulfill. And since the power network needed was so vast, that criminal element had to do what? Organize. And all of the bloodshed throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s that we made Godfather movies out of and everything like that can trace its roots to what? Prohibition and the organization of those crime families and those crime syndicates and those crime networks that all started because we prohibited alcohol. How do we just let it go on as the social ill that it is? It would have created less bloodshed.
So you're saying that the law outlawing alcohol, all it really did was drive criminals underground to try to get alcohol and then give power to those criminal organizations that were allowing it or exercising the selling of it to individuals. So you think it just drove it in the ground.
Much
so
like marijuana.
So that means you're pro-choice.
Yeah.
Carden, no, you're pro-choice and go to abortion, right?
Your argument supports pro-choice.
Yeah.
No, but see, there's a difference, a drastic difference between the two. I'm
Is
talking
there?
about the incentivization.
When you're talking about human life, when you're talking about someone getting drunk and getting in a car and then going and mowing down 4 people.
I'm saying the way to stop that from happening is not by outlawing the booze, okay, because that will just incentivize the cost of the booze and create more problems, okay? I'm saying the way you handle it is to educate against it, moralize against it through moral instruction, okay?
But you could also make that same argument. You could say, keep abortion legal, just educate the society on safe sex. Just educate the society on the morality.
But see, the safety of the sex, I don't think is the education.
Yeah.
The intrinsic value of human life is the education.
Yeah, but is
And
abortion
that's religious
is
education.
abortion addictive?
What?
Is there anyone going to anonymous meetings because they can't stop getting abortions? It is a substance that addicts you and you are stuck on it,
Okay,
Carden.
substance abuse.
I
is
have
not-
a grandfather who died of alcoholism because he was so poisoned and so addicted to this substance that it killed him.
And you don't think, okay, I know heartbreaking stories of heroin addicts and their families that say, my cousin, heroin nowadays is harder to get than booze was in the 20s. And guess what? The heroin addicts are still getting it. They're getting it in prisons. In prisons, you can get this stuff.
Well, I want to abolish the prisons too. So you're talking about the same guy.
You and Joseph Smith.
There's no
Yeah.
leg to stand on.
Yes, there is.
Okay, look, just, oh my God.
The diabetic alcoholics don't have a leg to stand on because they lose it.
Yep.
To diabetes.
To the gout.
I'm
and
not,
the beatus.
I'm not defending the alcohol.
Okay,
or
I'm going to actually lay out my
alcoholism.
point, okay?
Okay.
So here's my point. First, I cannot think of any propaganda that liquor industries would want more than, oh, actually, last time you tried to outlaw us, it didn't work. Define not working. Oh, we had some mobs that were created. Well, in the age of George W. Bush's Patriot Act, in the age of technology in which we can stop the president of the United States from tweeting, I'm sorry, but we can use our technology to find some gangs. In fact, that's what we do all the time. And with these new 87,000 IRS agents, I guarantee they'll be finding that that illegal Venmo that's coming through. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
When you've got all these people every year, victims being murdered by drunk drivers, because when you get drunk and go behind the wheel of a car, I'm sorry, in my book, you are now a murderer. Okay. When you got that, when you have the majority of assault happening, and it's happening under the influence of some alcohol, and it's either one of the people involved in the situation, usually the victim, has had more alcohol in their system. When you have domestic violence, all of these things triggered by alcohol, and the common denominator is liquor. And big liquor that specifically wants people to believe this is a normalcy and this has to be the way because what they did back then was too bad. I think you're falling for the propaganda.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm not falling for the propaganda. I'm making a calculation here. Ask yourself this.
And your calculation is that organized crime
when we were
is
talking
worse than all of the rest of what Kwaku just
let me iron this out for you, okay? If you knew that there were 100 people in the room, okay, and 5 of them were addicts that were probably going to kill themselves, 5 of them were tangentially related to them, and you had a bell curve in which you were able to figure out the demographics in the room, and you knew that if you outlawed the heroin that 5 of them were addicted to, that 20 of them would die incidentally from the crime networks formed out of it and all the other drama associated with it. Whereas if you just let it stay legal, only 7 of them would die. How do you value human life? Like at some point there's got to be a scoreboard. At some point,
I don't think your
leader,
calculations are correct.
As a president,
I don't think your calculations are correct. I don't think Al Capone killed anywhere near as many people as drunk drivers had.
Okay.
I think if you check your numbers at all, go check them. You'll find just how insanely wrong you are. You aren't even close, Cardin.
No, okay.
You are literally talking about a minority of organized crime, primarily people who are bad people.
But hold on. I'm looking at a much bigger picture than you are.
You're not.
I'm not just looking at, yes, I am, and I'm about to drop this truth bomb on you. The Al Capone Chicago divided into 4 precincts before the Sunday Bloody Sunday massacre, stuff like that. That's only 1 decade in one city, or maybe even in that part of the nation. But the same thought process used for prohibition in the 18th Amendment is the thought process that we used on marijuana throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and to this day. And how many people have died because drug cartels have been incentivized to continue the trade of harder and harder and harder drugs. Yes,
I would push back
bigger.
on that because there's significant data to show that the United States government quite literally funneled drugs into red line districts, specifically so people could get addicted.
Yeah, so all better reason not to have it be a high value item.
Well, I know, but are you insinuating then also that if we were to ban alcohol, the government would start funneling in alcohol into undesirable cities?
You're asking if the government were to ban alcohol, would they all of a sudden start funneling into undesirable areas for free?
Yeah.
I think the impact of that would be far less than the impact that it is having it be a high value item. And the proof is this, Kwaku, you're Mr. Conspiracy guy. You always say, if the government likes it, then it's bad and all that other stuff. The government has had a prohibition on Schedule 3. You know what I'm saying? I'll have to edit this out when we're doing it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But we've basically effectively had prohibition for 60 years on marijuana. Do you think the war on drugs has worked and that less people have died from addiction than have died?
Well, that's assuming that the war on drugs was actually about stopping drugs.
Yeah.
It was about...
prohibition is what's letting the government get away with all this crap. The prohibition of is the way that they Trojan horse all this other BS.
See,
all
I
the
think,
crap
though,
the CIA
you're
is
forgetting
doing.
There's problem, reaction, solution. So you have the problem that's created, and then you have our reaction. Oh no, someone must stop it. And then the person that created the problem in the first place gives you the solution. And the war on drugs is a perfect example of a government-created problem, our reaction, and the government solution, which was to imprison more people. Now, if you want to state, you want to state, look, I'm against the idea of bringing back prohibition or neo-prohibition because of what George H.W. Bush's and Ronald Reagan's war on drugs looked like. Okay, but let's take the first one. One, to mass produce, or even to produce for a lot of people, it takes your garage. To mass produce liquor, that's something that takes a lot of space. And you know what? The government can control it. So when it's a non-controlled substance, that's when you get into problems. The government wants to control these substances. The government wants to make money off of it. And the government also... Do you know who... This is not the documentary filmmaker. Do you know who Michael Myers is, the attorney from the 90s?
There are so many Michael Myerses.
Okay.
Look up Michael Myers, the attorney from the 1990s.
All right.
Who was involved in a famous lawsuit that... It should be easier to find online, but big alcohol hush money has quieted it, made it quiet. He proved that the big liquor companies were putting addictive chemicals inside of alcohol to literally make people more addicted.
Really?
He sued for like billions of dollars and won.
Really?
Yeah, you can read the whole story, and they've kind of buried it because when Coors asks you to hush that Blogspot website or that news article, they're going to do it.
Okay.
But it's a really, really important thing to look. Sorry, not Michael Myers, Michael Moore. Michael Moore, not Michael Myers.
Okay, I was about to say I'm getting all kinds
And not
of
the...
Halloween.
Yeah, and not the documentary filmmaker Michael Myers.
Okay,
Yeah.
as you're looking this up, by the way, Carden,
Okay.
I will give you this.
Okay.
Even though I'm really emphatic about this and I do think it should be illegal,
Okay.
I also have my own qualms about giving the government that kind of power, right? I am torn on whether or not we go the same route as Portugal has with its drugs, right?
Okay.
Where you just legalize everything and make it so that no one who has the drugs in their system, no one who's using the drugs is criminalized, right?
Okay.
I would love to see a prohibition against the production of that alcohol, right? But decriminalizing the people who have
Okay,
it.
but then we're gonna have literally like moonshine mills back, and how do
Great.
you enforce that law? See, the problem with these laws is what is the enforcement mechanism? The IRS just hired 87,000 agents. What are they going to be doing?
Arresting the alkies. No.
I hate to say it. I have a proposed solution for this.
Okay.
So it's gonna sound very cruel. Just bear with me. Okay?
But before you go any further, I really think what you guys did was you fell in love with this iconography and this imagery, and I think you guys just think that this Carrie Nation chick is so BA, and you want to be justified in holding those holy scriptures.
No, I can
and
go
those
buy
hatchets.
a hatchet for $10. No, that's not. I'm not obsessed with holding a hatchet. Okay.
No, I
Here's-
think it's not the cost of the
We're
hatchet.
just Carrie Nation
It's
stands.
It's the glory of being able to hold that hatchet.
That is the most
triumphant and just-
1920s like silent generation. Oh, you just hate the alcohol because you love the Carrie Nation. Like what? Like what? Okay, so for 90% of people don't even know who this is. This is not like a fad.
They should. I
They
want
should.
everyone who watches this show to look up Carrie Nation after and be inspired.
So here's what I think. First, I think I don't agree in putting people in prison for marijuana violations and things like that.
Yeah. And it's absolutely wild that we still have people in prison for marijuana stuff when we have dispensaries legalized.
Yeah, no, it's totally corrupt because they want Kamala Harris is use what these people in prison for marijuana so they could have cheap prison labor from the state. This is slave labor we're talking about.
Yeah.
But what I would do, I would make driving under the influence life in prison. That's all I would do. They've run virtual experiments on this.
I have friends in our stake whose wife got killed by DUI, and the amount of grief that causes. I totally see where you're coming from. At the same token, it's like all of us know that guy that went outside, fell asleep in his car, to sleep off the booze, and technically because his keys were in the front seat, that counts as a DUI, and you're just like, is this really?
I mean,
what
you can
do?
place certain ramifications. The car has to be moving, right?
Account for that.
But I guarantee you, the effect alcohol would have, it would diminish.
Sufficiently diminish.
You keep all the bars open. You either keep everything. You keep the factories open. The giant beer factories you have right over here. Keep them all open. But everyone knows when they go to that bar and they go clubbing, if they drive home drunk, kiss they're spending the rest of their life in prison, I guarantee you we would see within 3 years a significant decrease in the amount of alcohol people are ingesting.
Well, how does that buck up against him? Oh man, I hate trying to sound like a liberal. You know what I'm saying? I would actually no, I'm a very liberal person. What I mean is a leftist.
The real liberal.
No, is they got rid of the death penalty in California, and they did it for a bunch of crappy immoral reasons.
Well, I agree with that.
But no, because a man should be able to voluntarily atone for the crime of taking life, and the only way you can do that is by giving life. There's a moral reason to allow the death penalty. I'm
against the death penalty, but we can talk about the different podcasts.
Yeah, but that's what the movie The Green Mile's about. When the guy comes out after having been fried.
Is that the one with Eminem?
No, The Green Mile, not 8 Mile. You know what I'm saying?
Like Eminem feels like he's
the Green
pro-death already, so I don't know why he's against.
No, the Green Mile is the one with Tom Hanks.
Oh, that's with Ryan Reynolds.
No,
that's
not.
the Green Lantern, Kwaku.
Oh.
That's the Green Lantern. No, the Green Mile had Michael Clark, the giant. It was actually based off a Stephen King book, but it had Michael Clark, that big giant behemoth. I mean, it looks like a.
That guy's huge. Yeah,
it looks like he was like a lineman for the San Francisco 49ers. You know what I'm saying? But
it's Tom Hanks.
It was Tom Hanks and Michael Clark. Beautiful film, and I believe it was inspired by real events, if I'm not mistaken. Not exactly as portrayed in the movie, but I think there was a series of murders or somebody that was innocent and then put on death row or something like that. Wildly inspiring movie, probably top 10 in my book. Anyway, I was just gonna say that. Wait, where are we going with this? I just got chemo brain.
You were talking about how this relates back to death penalty.
Oh yeah, sorry. In this movie, there was a moment when one of the corrupt cops that wanted to watch people burn on the electric chair, had actually not put the water inside of the sponge, so it kind of fried the person instead of traveling through the water in the sponge. And then he wanted to see the body afterwards, and he reached over to pick it up, and the other cop slapped his hand and said, "This man has already paid his price. He is good with us." And you know what? There's a truth to that. You give life and you take life and you're a murderer. That's a crime you cannot pay for except for by doing what? Sacrificing your own life.
Okay, so that's the doctrine of blood atonement. Okay, I'm totally fine with it in a weird way.
Oh no!
But
that's another podcast.
I just saying, I legitimately think implementing that law would change a lot, and it doesn't involve us having to. So that's why
it doesn't make the government now in control of further substances and make it so that they can stop.
So the 87,000
it'd be a neo-prohibition. It would be a reformed version of it.
So the 87,000 IRS agents weren't enough for status Kwaku. Now he wants 87,000 prohibition agents. You know what I'm saying? Out there policing.
No, I don't.
You wouldn't have to change anything except make the
federal law. Every person caught driving under the influence of alcohol, life in prison.
So that's not prohibition. That is not draconian. That is harsh DUI punishments.
Call it whatever you like, but I know it would work. Also, this is really. I'm going to say it.
I don't know. I'm still dubious of giant alcohol companies that make all of their money off of poisoning people with an addictive substance.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if there's a lot more Carrie Nations that walked around.
Like, what the heck? What the heck is going on? Like, why do we allow that? Like, same with big tobacco for me.
Okay.
Like, you're literally allowing people to go around causing cancer.
Well, yeah, it's like cigarettes. If you smoke a cigarette now, you look like a dorky loser works at a gas station.
Yeah,
okay,
seriously.
that's kind of mean.
But it's true.
Gas station employees. But that's what people will. Okay,
you know what?
Cut that out. Here's what I'm saying. Yeah. You look like a dorky loser if you're smoking cigarettes. Nobody thinks it's cool anymore unless it's like French with a long, like one of those.
Okay.
But now what do? They said, cool.
DeVille?
Give them vapes and dab pens. The same thing. Now you get people vaping. It's like, this is my strawberry. It's a strawberry flavored cigarette. Wonderful. The same thing.
And then they start finding out about popcorn lung, right? And you're still just destroying other people with your secondhand smoke.
So
the externalities of this, Carden, are so extreme.
It would be so. Look, as someone who's never touched alcohol or drugs,
okay,
I just can't believe the amount of people who need to poison themselves. They're like, I need a drink. You're poisoning yourself, you moron, you idiot.
Okay, so now hold on. This is a lot to take in, and I've never been ganged up on by both of you. You know what I'm saying?
We
So
should
this
do it
is,
more.
this is like a little bit crazy for me. So I'm juxtaposing this because there's a libertarian part of me
Yeah.
that's very just like, it's never worth giving the government that power to regulate your life.
Well, here's the trouble.
That-
They already have it, Cardin.
Oh,
They're
no.
already using it.
Okay.
They're just not using it on things that matter.
Okay, I get that. But now there also is another part of me though that says, gosh, you know, I know my non-member friends that drank when they came to visit me at BYU and Provo. They make snide comments and remarks about like, oh, you can't buy booze on Saturday after 4. Like, where are we going to get our alcohol? And, you know, I actually kind of liked that you didn't have drunks walking around on Sundays and things closed down in Provo on Sunday. And it was like the only peaceful day of the week. And you didn't even worry about having to plan what you're doing on Sunday because, you know, the world shut down and there was no booze anywhere. And it's the least drunk driving accident state in the frickin' union. And whether we like it or not, some of that had to do with the fact that BYU is, from what I understand, this is one of those apocryphal stories that I hope is true. Apparently they buy up the liquor licenses in like a 5-mile radius of the campus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like only like one bar on Provo Center Street.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, I think BYU Provo owns like liquor licenses that they pay the 40.
Like
they pay the 40 grand every year just to kill the competition. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's like
That's awesome.
I'm very libertarian in that sense where I don't want governmental coercion
Yeah.
to control something. Because look, we outlawed murder 2,000 years ago and people still get murdered every day. So prohibiting.
Do you think more people would get murdered if it wasn't against the law?
And not if we brought back duels and,
Yeah.
and mutual combat laws.
Yeah, so
you know,
it's
not-
interesting. I have found when I took a women's studies class, we had this fervent
Oh,
debate.
so man hating 101.
Actually, it wasn't. It was a really interesting class because
Oh, it was well measured. So it was just like man general loathing 101. Not quite hatred.
No,
not quite,
it was
you know.
good. It was actually, believe it or not, and
Don't
it was
believe
only
it.
5 people. No, there was 8 people in the class, 3 dudes, me, a gay guy, and a guy whose wife is making him take it because they just got married. Okay, and
You know he's whipped.
yeah, no, he was like, I love women, I promise. It's like kind of regretting the marriage. Anyways, so we're there, and I remember Professor Siegfried. Actually, she's now passed away, so may she rest in peace.
Okay.
She was talking about male privilege, and I think she was Republican looking back because she would say some things just to trigger the class. So she would talk about male privilege, and there's like, so men are more privileged than women, and all the girls like, yes, absolutely, male privilege. And she's like, okay, now do you think Kwaku has more privilege than you, Valerie? And she's like, well, yeah, he's a man. And then she goes, okay, Valerie, where does your family line come from? And she talks about her family line and pioneer ancestry and such. She's like, Kwaku, where does your family line come from? Like, it goes back this far until slavery. And she goes like, huh. And the class is good.
And they just got like,
And she's like, so now you're saying, so do you still think that? And they're like, well, I guess because he's black. No, I guess. Like, so do you think white women have more privilege than black men? And they're like, oh, kind of. But white guys are bad. She's like, okay, what about Jewish white men? Well, okay, no, not Jewish. Okay, well, what about like, I don't know, Eastern European immigrant white men? Well, okay, not them. So she just chopped it down and she got everyone to humbly recognize that we're privileged if we're from the suburbs of a major city. So she was actually really BA.
That's cool.
Women's studies professor.
That's a really good way to help people understand.
But anyway.
and then all the progmos are like, no.
No, they hated it. They hated it because I was like, I won. But basically, we talked about how people on both sides disbelieve and simultaneously believe in the argument of if this bad thing is illegal, it'll make it worse. So if you're pro-abortion, believing that banning abortion will actually make more abortions is the same argument as those who are like, oh, well, you know, if you get rid of guns, then it's just going to make the shootings worse because in the gun-free zone, that's like, okay.
No, but there are measurable quantifiers that follow certain things, okay? And it's okay to make moral arguments. With the big A word, that's a moral argument. Now, you could say the same thing about, okay, well, prohibition is a moral argument. My only problem is what's that enforcement mechanism? And there are certain things, especially items,
Okay, I'm
not actions.
I'm going to pretend I'm a pro-choice Twitter feminist right now, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, hanger.
Oh gosh, no, we can't talk about that on YouTube.
No, but the thing is still though, I have read the studies and I've seen the arguments, somewhat convincing arguments, that women will go get back alley abortions, and those are very, very bloody and dangerous.
And there will be underground doctors that perform it. Yes, I get that. That's what Mengele did in Argentina when he.
Oh wait, pause. Let's settle this way. This is a fair Mormon apologist Spencer Marsh calling.
Oh boy.
Hey Spencer. You're live on Midnight Mormons right now. Yeah. You are. You're live on Midnight Mormons. Okay.
Let me ask. On speaker.
Wait, I can put it on speaker.
We've got all the Cougarettes in the studio, bro, and they're waiting to see what you say, so don't embarrass yourself.
Why am I not there?
Okay, Spencer, do you think we should bring back Prohibition, yes or no?
Do I think that we should bring back Prohibition?
Or some form of neo-prohibition where we heavily, heavily regulate alcohol?
I haven't thought about that super. I haven't thought about that super deeply, but that'd be pretty base if we did. I don't know.
And to Spencer Marsh.
That's as good as a yes for me.
I'm gonna say I don't know. I'm gonna say I don't have an opinion, but if we did, that'd be super base, and that would be pretty cool. So.
Would you enforce it with a hatchet like Carrie Nation did, bursting the barrels of alcohol on a Sunday after Elders Quorum?
That would also be really cool. Yeah, if we did it, I'd have to do that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lit. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. Like, okay. Here's what I'm gonna say. I'd be pretty basic if we did it, but I don't think that we will do it, and maybe I prefer that we didn't, because I don't know. I just don't think it would be. I don't think it would be the best use of the state. I think that we can use the government for a lot of better reasons. So, just that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you support a law that
agreeing
makes
with you there, Carden?
Would you support a law that makes it if you're caught drunk driving, you get life in prison?
If I'm caught drunk driving, I would get life in prison. Actually, you can make a pretty persuasive argument for that. Because here's the deal. It's what's called moral luck in philosophy. I'll explain it really quickly. So there's 2 people, they're at a party, and one drives home. Person A drives home before person B. Person A drives home. They're both drunk. So person A drives home and they don't hit anybody. But person B drives home and they hit a little girl crossing the street because she was playing ball, and so person B hit the little girl. Now so basically the argument would be that person A and person B. Some people make the argument that both person A and person B are equally culpable because they put life in danger. And
okay.
That, person B actually did hit a girl, but, it would still be the case that, both of them put, an equal amount. That they both have, equal chances of hitting the girl, basically. There was a 1 in 2 chance of, hitting this girl. And there's different cases there's better analogies to support that. But, I don't know, that would be, so a person caught on a DUI, life in prison. I mean, you could make an argument for that. I don't know if I'd totally be married to it, but you could make an argument for that, and it wouldn't be without any sort of merit, it would be at least mildly persuasive. So that's my take.
All right, cool. Okay, thanks, Spencer.
Yeah. All right, see ya.
See ya. All right, well, I don't know where to go from here other than the fact that Carden supports alcohol abuse, and I believe you should cleanse your body of the demon parasites that come as a result of becoming a drunk loser.
Well, here's the deal.
Okay.
I think if we're being serious, Carden, I totally see where you're coming from with the argument that we should not give the government that kind of power.
Yeah.
But
also, there's part of me, though, that is oh, man,
I see
the only society I've participated in that has anything mildly remotely close to prohibition, which is Utah. And it's not prohibition. It's just restriction on when you can buy alcohol. It was a better society than what I live in now. And here's the deal. I remember when they legalized moto, okay? As the Latinos say, la mota, sorry. I remember when they legalized grass, shall we call it, okay? I was working in pest control then for a major firm, and we did a lot of halfway homes, and it used to be that if guys got involved with substance abuse of any kind and they committed a crime, oftentimes before they were re-entered into society at large, and after they'd come out of prison, there was a halfway home where, You know, they had to go work their 9 to 5 and they'd come back and check in with a counselor, do some drug tests. And, you know, they do counseling and just, you know, it was an in-between phase between prison and regular society that helped a lot of these guys readjust back into normal life. Because if not, they'd come out of a very structured prison system and all of a sudden be in an unstructured, regular life system. It would stress them out. And then how do you deal with stress? Substance abuse. And they'd end up right back in prison. So halfway homes helped a lot of guys. And it used to be because it was outlawed, they couldn't abuse it. But once it was legalized here, once it was legalized, all of a sudden, these guys couldn't say no. The counselors could not say no to it because it's now a legal substance. And the guys would never really quite get off their dependence of substances because they were allowed to legally say, oh, I got knee pain, so I need. And I saw guys go from being like a high graduation rate in these halfway homes to like a not so high graduation rate. And it's like, crap, that takes its toll on society. And the bed bugs these guys would have. Because they were going to bed high every night.
There's nothing alcohol.
They wouldn't feel them. Like the worst bed bug infestations were always halfway homes.
You guys
because they wouldn't feel them at night.
You guys want to hear the cruelest but most true and dark stat?
What?
Oh, what?
Okay, I'm not sure if this can make it in the episode, but I'll say it.
Okay.
And I do not support that this was done at all.
Okay.
But it worked. And that's why it's not being talked about right now.
Okay.
Philippines. President Duarte.
What did he do? I don't know.
The law a couple years ago where it was illegal to kill drug dealers. Remember that?
Oh, shut up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And it be literally like the war on drugs was became.
Well, that's kind of mutual combat, though. That's what a town would do. If bank robbers came into the town and they stole the town's money, the town would say, no, that's our money. There's no FDIC insured in freaking 1870. So that's my life savings as a shopkeeper. That's my neighbor's life savings as a cattle rancher. That's this old woman who's trying to use her cash to build an orphanage at the end of the street's life savings. We're going to round up the men in our town, chase this dude down on a vendetta ride, and then kill them all because they took our motherfucking life savings. And taking our life savings, the way that we buy our water rights and the way that we buy our food is equivalent to murder as well. So we're chasing you down and we are killing you if we have to get that money back. To me, that's actually just bringing back mutual combat, which I feel is inherent to the human experience.
Okay.
So what you're saying is instead of a life in prison option, you're down for drunk drivers can no longer have legal protection.
The father of the girl that's killed getting run over should be able to go and this guy's head in the skull and his skull into his own car until he stops. And if the dude's still alive at the end of that process, then he gets to live.
And you don't think government regulation on that is going to be somehow way weirder?
Sorry. No, like, dude, well, like Alexander Hamilton literally challenged a guy to was challenged to a duel
by
for
Aaron
having
Burr.
Besmirched Andrew Burr's like cousin's wife or something. Like besmirching honor used to be something that could lead to lethal combat. Killing somebody drunk driving, yeah.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, the media coverage was like, this is the most horrifically evil thing we've ever seen. And
no,
he's like,
leftist media coverage.
Okay, all right. Okay, geez, take it easy, Tucker.
But
basically,
that goes without saying, Cardin.
But basically, the president of the Philippines, like, look, you guys have not lived here and seen the absolute evil and terror that these drug dealers have put upon society. So it's made it illegal to kill them. Cops can kill them, and you, guy across the street, you can kill them. Nothing bad will happen. In fact, we're going to reward you if you do. You know what happened? Drug abuse, this is just based on a study I just recently saw. Drug abuse in the Philippines went boom, went way down. And now it's not being handled by the police anymore.
So here's my only question with that. Okay, I'm fine with that if this is protected. In the Wild Wild West, anybody could hunt down the guy on the wanted sign. But that guy on the wanted sign had to have experienced a court of his peers, habeas corpus, and had to have been convicted with overwhelming evidence of the actual crime. If all of a sudden we said, oh, it's open season on drug dealers because we can all agree drug dealers are bad people, what's keeping John DeLynn from calling the FBI and saying, these guys were mean to me on a meme and they made a drug reference, they're drug dealers, and all of a sudden there's a fatwa on
So
our
what you're
heads.
saying is vigilante justice with precautions.
Well,
So you're neo-vigilant. Okay. Okay.
I'm
So you want to be
neo-vigilant.
like
We
vigilant.
can't
I'm
give
saying-
the government the power to enforce.
Well, you have to give the government power to not enforce, but to provide the court system. It's one of the few actually
I agree with that.
righteous.
I agree with that. I'm not saying it should just be open season, the purge. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should kill drug dealers either. I'm just saying that was a harsh thing that did happen, and some studies say it worked. I just think we have to do more than what we're doing right now. Clearly, this is not sustainable, and I think I would love to see federal law enacted that if you're caught driving under the influence of alcohol or anything else, you get life in prison. And by anything else, we can exclude like a prescription drug or something like, I'm talking about mostly liquor.
I can get behind that, I think, because as I'm looking at it, like I agree with you, Cardin. There's the libertarian side of me that's like, we can't give the government that kind of power. Even as much as I want for the problem to be gone, that solution might not be worth it. And it could be misused. Like you're saying, with the war on drugs being a very good example of the government misusing its power, right?
Okay.
So I think we have common ground there.
Okay.
I want the kind of government that I could trust to actually enact prohibition. And I mean, we're in a representative democracy or a representative republic. So we would have to have enough people vote in favor of this
Because here's
sort of
also the other
position
problem
as well.
with that.
But
And this is the last thing that I'll say before I go, Kwaku. I live in Los Angeles, where Gascon doesn't prosecute a single thing. He doesn't prosecute a single thing. Not violent crime, not theft. He doesn't assist in homelessness. I know 3 people in our state that were burglarized, some of them violently, where the cops literally said the DA is not going to process anything. We're not even going to come out and take a report because we're not going to waste our time. Okay. Happened to my state president. Okay. Family was so shaken up, now moved to Henderson, Nevada. Henderson, Nevada now actually has a brand new family of 4 because Gascon won't enforce the frickin' laws here as a DA. But if you've outlawed alcohol, which pretty much everybody outside of Mormonism and Seventh-day Adventists participate in, you've given an excuse to preferentially enforce the law on anybody to the government. Because let me tell you, if Gascon doesn't like you, if you're a white male, and he saw your YouTube posts about, I don't know, Trump or, January 6th or whatever, then you better believe he's hauling your duff into court. And you better believe that he's throwing the book at you. And you better believe that he's prosecuting you to the full extent of the law because you are the undesirable.
so here's one thing, though, that I will
If
say.
we gave that power to the government,
But
Power they already have?
they already have that power. And in addition, at
so
least...
don't throw prohibition on top of it.
But at least alcohol is ubiquitous, right? We saw with the war on drugs, crack getting way, way worse penalties than cocaine because the judge's nephews were the ones on cocaine, right? And so you saw people on cocaine not going to prison for anywhere near as long. But if you're on the drugs that they associate with a different demographic, the kind that they're fine locking up, then it goes, you can't do that with alcohol the same way because it's ubiquitous, just like you're saying.
Okay.
What would Joseph Smith do, Cardin?
He would consume, he actually consumed a very tall glass of beer every night before he went to bed. And there were 3 breweries in Nauvoo that paid their tithing to the bishop's storehouse in barrels of
Except for
booze.
that one guy who got struck blind.
Yeah.
But, oh, well, he didn't want a saloon open within city limits. Yes. So, okay, cool. Look, so at the end of the day, apparently Elizabeth Clare Prophet is your girl, and we have to add this doll
Oh,
to
I was
the
like, that's
list.
not Elizabeth Clare.
We have
Carrie
to add
Nation.
Carrie Nation, Elizabeth Clare Prophet.
Carrie Nation's
I like
the
them
bomb.
both.
You like them both. And
If anyone
so-
ever says I'm misogynistic, I can be like, literally all my heroes are women. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, there's Joan of Arc, there's Carrie Nation, and there's Elizabeth Clare Prophet.
By the way,
So,
Helena Blavatsky. Add her
I
in
just
there too.
added a link to the Discord. Check it out.
okay, I'm gonna open up Le Discord.
Best and
to
worst
see.
states for drunk driving.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
man, this is way too relevant. We got to throw it up right now and then.
And
And
so
let me guess, what are we gonna do before we actually put this on screen? Any guesses?
yeah, what do you think is the lowest?
I would have guessed Utah, but
No, like Rhode Island or something.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those like weird small ones.
Vermont. Yeah.
okay, here it is. Drunk driving statistics analysis. North Central region comprising Wyoming, Montana, and Dakotas is by far the worst area for drunk driving in the United States. Oh,
Look at that random spot.
Random spot.
Number
right
43 with Utah.
Wow.
In the middle of this otherwise very drunken lane from Montana down to New Mexico.
Wow. So the worst is Wyoming. Their
That
DUI,
makes sense.
30%
And
of the total
right next door.
traffic deaths.
So now this could be all of the Utahns going to Evanston and living it up in Wyoming.
But look at this. This is interesting. And this surprises me because if you actually go further down on this little graph right here, you'll see the best and the worst states.
Mhm.
Look at what the best state is. The best state is
Massachusetts.
then Delaware, then Illinois, New Jersey.
Leftover
You ever
righteousness
met
from the
anybody-
Saints
Oh,
in
you're
Illinois.
blaming that on the Nauvoo temple.
Actually, that makes sense because so I had
Demographics.
3 different buddies that went to DePaul.
Okay.
And they talked about how the gang violence in Chicago is literally so bad, and the
Okay.
drug and alcohol culture is so bad. Like drinking there, just even at a party, there's a somewhat risk of you looking low class. And so it's like almost a class thing in Illinois where a lot of people just don't really drink unless it's just them and their families inside of their home, or them and their roommates inside of their apartment, and they don't invite people because literally it seems like it's low class because of the culture they already have. So there's a social stigma, and it's like a silent one. And
then-
like, oh, you're a
And
frat
it's
boy.
doing a better job than Prohibition would have. You're proving me right here.
No,
I literally said we should moralize against it through education and stigma. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
And
not
I
against
with
that
you on
either.
that.
We're
We're all on board with that.
Yeah, it's not either or. Massachusetts, I have no clue. Maybe. Oh, you know what? Because they got like Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. They have the classy alcohol, the
And
stuff that you're drinking in a suit.
Have
Looking
you
at the
ever
boats.
seen a winter in the Northeast?
I
You
lived in.
cannot drive in those places.
Yeah,
up there.
that's true. Like if you need to put
also-
on,
I don't know
tire
what's
chains
happening
and
in
you're
Maine
tipsy,
to make
like-
it number 12. Like,
I would
what
also-
on earth is going
Yeah, especially Massachusetts with Boston. You
Like
would think
how is
that's
Illinois and
Oh,
Delaware?
it's Boston because of the
How
lack of
is
driving.
New Jersey?
Yeah, public.
It's huge. It's
public
transport.
transit. Duh.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
Public
Massachusetts,
transport.
because that's why New York is so.
Yeah, New Jersey as well with those Italians and their wife beaters. Bro, I'm sorry, they are drinking. They are drinking, dog. Ain't no way they're not. Public transit. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
The things
Hey,
that you can
That
say.
actually, yeah. This now this whole
Public
list.
transit and prohibition. This will solve. a lot
Well,
of our
that and you
problems.
forgot
Green
one
New
thing.
Deal.
You forgot one thing. There's public transit.
There's a statue of her outside of every bar
Yeah.
in Massachusetts.
No. Okay, so you said public transportation prohibition, and you forgot the last one.
Carrie Nation.
A hatchet.
Oh,
Yeah.
You need a freaking hatchet. All right. Okay, so tell us what you guys think in the comments. Do we need to bring back prohibition a la Kwaku and Brad, or do we need to be more well-measured, intelligent, and diplomatic in our approach? And
yeah. Are
be
you going
like
to be
me.
a drunk like Cardin, or do you want to be righteous like Bradley and I?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. This is Midnight Mormons. See you in the next program.